Within the sound, the naked light I saw. Voices never shared in the sound.
Yes, Sir Hairless here. I have received a request for this performance, this song, this cover a number of times. This is, of course, Disturbed with The Sound of Silence. I've been holding off for a reason that will become apparent with the next video I plan on doing. I was first made aware of this Disturbed cover of The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel shortly after I started my channel just over a year ago. I was going through my old comments before filming this, and I received just a handful of recommendations for this cover. But it's when I did a video on another cover of The Sound of Silence, which was Peter Hollins and Tim Faust. Very, very, very nice. It's an a cappella cover. If you're interested, please do check out my video on that card up here. It was in the comments of that video when I started to really receive a lot of requests for this one. Finally, 8 months later, here we are. I had never heard of Disturbed. I just Googled them, and apparently they're absolutely massive. Over 18 million monthly Spotify plays, 4.5 million YouTube subscribers. This video has over 1 billion views, so that's my bad, I guess, but I've just never come across them. A quick Google tells me they're a heavy metal band formed in 1994 from Chicago. This song, the original, I'll echo what I said in my previous Sound of Silence reaction. It's an iconic song. I'm sure it's touched millions and millions of people globally since its release decades ago. I feel personally that it is a song that's worthy of being well known like it is. And I think its technical simplicity plays a big part in that. There's not much going on texturally. You have two voices singing in harmony, a guitar or two. There are a couple of versions of the song, and in one of them you have percussion. And Art Garfunkel's voice, so floaty, I believe is the word that I used. So a heavy metal band covering this certainly intrigues me. Let's get straight into it.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked up.
Oh, interesting video, isn't it, with all these ruined instruments. This is my first time with this artist. I've never seen them before, I've never heard them, I've never done a video on them. I don't know how strict the copyright will be, so if this is your first time on my channel, this is where we do our first pause. I go over and give my thoughts on what we've just heard, and after that, then we'll carry on. So if you don't want to hear my thoughts or analysis, go to the timestamp. Yeah, the opening scene is nice. I was not sure if I had muted it or something. There's something really poignant about that. Complete silence, the sound of silence. I'm sure this could be taken metaphorically in many ways, but I like how literal it is. You can't play broken instruments. Thus, we have silence. Quite a sad sight, actually, isn't it? As for the key, this is in F sharp minor. The original is in D sharp minor. So we're a minor third higher than the original, but the vocals enter an octave down. It's a low entry. The first thing I really liked about this piano entry it's how it's used to create rhythmic uncertainty right from the off, which I think quite suits the image that we have of this burning piano keyboard. The original is in common time, so there's 4 beats per bar or measure. I refer to measures as bars. This is very clear.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
1, 2, 3, 4. Disturbed's version is also in common time, so we also have 4 beats per bar, but it's not obvious the first time you listen. Even now, I think that's my third time hearing this introduction. It still sort of throws me off. It's a very simple piano introduction, so let me hop over to the piano and show you what I mean by this, and afterwards I'll edit in the score to hopefully try and make what I'm saying a bit clearer. So this is what we get. And that's 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. And each beat is split into 2 smaller beats, which we can think of as 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. In short, what Disturbed do is they change what we get on the strong versus the weak beats. Of the 1-2s, the 1 is usually strong. Strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak. The first beat is the bass note. Fine. Then on the offbeat, we get this note, the C sharp. On the third beat, the offbeat note is still lower, fine. But then on the fourth beat of the bar, the C sharp now comes on the strong half. And this throws us off a bit because we've been beginning to recognize a pattern. Weak, weak, lower weak, now strong, and then it moves up on the weak. And then we move to the next bar. And again, this C sharp, it's on the strong beat. We identify time signatures by figuring out where the bars begin. Then we can identify rhythmic patterns. The offbeat now is in the bass note, which was the very first thing we heard, the very first strong beat. So the roles of these 2 notes, which started off with strong, weak, is now reversed. Strong, weak. And whilst we're trying to confirm the rhythms to get a sense of familiarity and comfort with the music, the notes just play out for the remainder of the bar. This is a calm song, there's no doubt about it, and it's probably very comforting for many, many people in a strange way. So I think that having this uncertainty immediately, that's how this rhythmic structure made me feel, a bit uncertain. It's a clever move, it's engaging, and it is forcing me to really, really focus on what I'm hearing. As for the lead singer's voice, what's his name? Let's find out. Google tells me it's David. David's timbre is crazy. It sounds like multiple voices at the same time.
I've come to talk with you again.
And quite a naturally airy voice, it seems.
Because a vision softly creeping.
At least when he's singing with this level of power, quite a reduced sound overall. And I like his use of tempo rubato, which literally means in robbed time. Some notes are longer than we'd expect compared to the original. There are some slight melodic adjustments he makes. For example, he moves to the next note 1 note early and then repeats that note, which can cause added dissonance due to these small melodic adjustments. Here we now have a bit more rhythmic stability, and this is emphasized by the more chordal piano.
Left its scenes while I was sleeping.
His vibrato coming through, quite a strong vibrato he seems to have. But I liked as well how in the next few phrases, he chooses to omit the vibrato. He finishes them with a straight tone, if we listen to the end of these phrases.
And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains.
And then at the end, ever so slightly trying to come through.
Of silence.
Pensive, it's much more calm than I was expecting. And what a unique look he has as well. I've never seen this before. 2 chin rings, do you call it? Are they piercings? Are they stuck on? He is part of the Hairless tribe. If this video got 10,000 likes, I'll do my next Disturbed reaction looking like that. Yeah, very intriguing. All right, let's carry on.
In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more, people talking without speaking,
Oh, it's building up. I feel it's building up. What a range he has, though. I'll touch on that in a bit. Just a few points that I want to go over there before we carry on, before I forget. From where we continued, we have the introduction of the guitar. I think it was definitely impactful.
Restless dreams, I walked alone.
Because we have an E chord. But the root note of the home key, the very, very first note that we heard, the F sharp, that's also in there. But, you know, down at the bottom at these murky depths. It's much easier to pick apart a chord that's higher in pitch. It's quite difficult when it's low down. So this dissonance that we get, it's very, very subtle, almost not noticeable. I wasn't quite sure if I heard it or not the first time. I had to listen again. The piano part now is simpler. There's less rhythmic uncertainty or complexity. It's kind of handed over its role, its function to the guitars. And I feel that every new phrase that we're hearing, there's more to listen out to. The texture is so much thicker now. But the standout new line or new instrument would be the mid-range strings that we're hearing coming through. Whilst I was listening out for that, there was a nice surprise in the melody, the melodic change. It's significant. So much of this song is made up of rising melodies. Naturally, they kind of build towards the climactic moments. But here, he falls.
I turn my collar to the cold.
I turn my collar to the... You know, down there, that's a bottom E, which for context, in the choral world is the lowest note your lowest bass is expected to sing. So it's low. And then here we get this plucking, almost like a harp sounding or something.
Flash of a neon light.
Very subtle, and at the same time we get the piano coming in, again, super low down. Just like we saw with the guitar, the piano is now playing a completely dissonant note or multiple. It's really difficult to tell, especially because it's so low down and hard to distinguish. It's like a really, really purposeful contrast. You have your stereotypically serene, pure music, a harp sound higher up. You can imagine an angel playing that or something. And then the darker, grungier sound, low down dissonance. Just before we paused, actually, there was another example of this. Listen to the piano. Low down, it's kind of like someone has just placed their hand on a bunch of the lower keys. If you managed to catch that. There was this nice little homage to the original with this motif that we hear. I think it's acting as a transition between sections effectively.
Of silence. And in the naked light I saw.
I was not expecting that, though. That's quite an epic moment, I think. And I do like the video as well, in its simplicity. I mean, even the color has been removed, and it's quite moving. It is quite moving. Okay, here is the first time where I'm hearing his voice really move up in pitch.
Hearing without listening.
There's no percussion, there are no drums. Usually then a strumming guitar maybe would take that percussive role. Strumming patterns on the guitar are designed with a percussive purpose in mind. But the guitar, it's completely drained out by the strings that we're hearing. A huge sound, it's like an orchestral sound.
Hearing without listening. People.
You can only just hear the guitar strums, and I do think that is really interesting. This bit, by the way, it's another example of rhythmic peculiarity. It sounds a bit different. This is actually the work of Simon and Garfunkel in the original. They very cheekily add in a rogue bar of 2 beats in between all the other bars of 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as I said before, his range. Wow. We had that bottom E I said, which is as low as your lowest choral bass is expected to sing. But here, that's a top A, which is a tiny bit higher than your choral tenor is expected to sing. My opinion is that David is not naturally a tenor. His voice isn't light like a leggero tenor's would be, but he's clearly very, very able to sing that range. I imagine he can probably go higher. Significantly higher. Very, very powerful voice and a distinctive voice too. Okay, we got to just over halfway through, so let's carry on.
Fool said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms and I might said the words on the prophets are written on the subway walls, in tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
I did not know what to expect. It was not that. That was a huge, huge sound at the end. Like, I'll come to this, I'm sure, in a moment. I was getting the old goosebumps tingling down my back. Wow. Yeah, really. Yeah, I think epic is the word that comes to mind for this. Yeah, before we wrap up with a few final points that I'll go over, along with suggestions to do this reaction, I also received a couple of background videos, I guess you'd call them. I'll put them on the screen now. There's 2 of them. So once I'm done with this reaction, I will then watch them and discuss them or, react to them. So if you want to see those as well at the end of this reaction as one big video, you can find that on my Patreon and the video will be linked below. All right, well, let's go through that second half. What I was saying, a huge sound in terms of the texture, in terms of how many instruments are playing.
Fool said I, you do not know.
The percussion has joined the party and it's used very effectively, I think, such as here. By the way, for anyone wondering, this music, this is the song, The Sound of Silence. The bass part looks interesting. Let's screenshot it and rotate it. Yeah, so if you're wondering, the music is this. I'll put a little piano clip. Interestingly, that's in D minor. The original is here, and Disturbed's version is here. I feel the sound now has kind of reached a point where any such dissonance, like I pointed out earlier, there's just no chance of hearing them. The sound, it's harmonious in its size. There were some really, really nice guitar lines coming through. Could be another plucked stringed instrument. I mean, who knows? And a bit further on, firstly, the imagery is great, isn't it? Now the metal side is coming out. There's a coarseness to his voice. I'll never understand how he could sing like that and just not ruin his voice. Anyway, considering this song, I'm finding this quite strange because it seems angry. I feel anger and torment and vengeance. And fragmentation there, he takes a breath, he breaks mid-phrase. That's very traditionally unconventional. So I'm feeling this anger, but at the same time, we have this very fun and sprightly, well, these runs I was talking about. There's one here, a scale, descending and ascending. That's an A major scale down. Sorry, that's as fast as I can click. Even though the key is F sharp minor, we're hearing an A major scale because every minor key on the inside circle has a related major key on the outside circle. So here's the minor key and there's the related major key. And again, a very similar thing, but this time an arpeggio instead of a scale. Dissonance there as a drone as well, so subtle. I mean, the video, it's a very eerie video, isn't it? The humanoid figures in this semi-realistic animation style. Overall though, and the second half especially, I mean, wow, what an effort. That's a proper orchestral arrangement. Well, I don't have more to say and I probably have already made this video too long. So I think let's wrap this up. Just a few final words. Really did not know what to expect. I assumed it would be something good because of how famous it is and how many times it's been suggested to me, but really, really musical. I'm going to need to listen to this many more times because there was just so many layers in there and instruments popping through. Yeah, I'm going to need to grab a hot chocolate. If you enjoy this and you'd like to support me, please head on over to the Buy Me a Coffee link down below to buy me a hot chocolate, and I'll drink my hot chocolate and listen to this many, many more times. Really, really cool one. Thank you to everyone who suggested that, and thank you as always for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. If you'd like to join the community and support me, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen now. Also, you'll get access to exclusive content not available on YouTube, and I will see you next time.